Okay, so thank you, Lauren and Exabytes, for having me here. Hi, everyone. Good morning from Jakarta. I am Kelly, a UX researcher currently working at Blibli. So a bit introduction about Blibli. It is an online supermarket which focus on B2C, B2B, and B2B2C business model. And our core value is to provide customer satisfaction, number one. So it's very important for us to constantly deliver the best user experience in and off the app for both of our customers and also sellers. Okay, so as mentioned by Lauren, the topic for today is about simple user research as key to success. And on this session, I'm going to share about the why, the what, when, how to do user research in a simple and easy way. So first, let's start with the big why question. Why do we need user research? I believe if you search on the internet, there are lots of articles that can explain in a more comprehensive way. But to give you a better picture about user research, we can learn from the evolution of the famous Heinz ketchup bottle. So originally, the bottle was made from glass packaging, as you can see on the picture. But after understanding who used the ketchup sauce on their meals, which turned out to be kids, it was found that twisting the cap bottle and then pouring out the ketchup from something made from glass was hard for them. It was risky too, right? Then to overcome the situation, a more user-friendly packaging was created, where we only need to flick the cap and then squeeze the ketchup out before enjoying it. But then, through through observing users' behavior, it was discovered that these bottles were stored upside down. So imagine like if you have a few ketchup left, it will be easier to squeeze it out if we put it upside down first, right? So after understanding this problem, the packaging was redesigned. So it's easier to squeeze the ketchup out and we no longer have to store it upside down. So from this illustration, we may understand that user research actually helps us to create a more relevant, easier, and more pleasurable to use designs or maybe solutions. So because user research is a study that understands users' behavior, characteristic, and motivation, it helps place the users in the center of our design and product development process. So now you know what is user research and the importance of it. Then the next question would be, when is the right timing to do user research, right? Well, the answer can be anytime and on any stages of design thinking process. But every company or organization obviously has different product development process, and usually user research comes on these three stages. If you can see, like the orange one is discover, the yellow one is discover, the orange one is test, and then the red one is evaluate. So first, when we're learning the situation and try to discover problems to solve, we can do user research. Or maybe when we're building a solution and we want to test it out, we can also meet the users. And the last one, when we implemented the solution, we want to measure or maybe evaluate the performance, we can also do this. And it goes on cycle from evaluate back to the discovery stage again, to the testing stage again, and back to the evaluation, and then back to the discovery again. Okay, so then how can we do user research? The very first thing which is important for us to do before going to user research is to plan the research itself. We can start from defining the objectives based on the product development stages that we're currently on. It can be trying to discover problems, testing the designs, or maybe evaluate the performance of the designs itself, or maybe the product, and so on. And it's very important to define the objectives on early stage so we know what to focus on when planning, conducting, and also delivering the research results. After that, we can list down the things that we know, that we don't know, the things that we want to validate, basically creating the hypothesis, right? The objectives and hypothesis will be the guide for us to choose the research methods. And as you can see, there are lots of research methods out there, and I believe if you Google it, you'll find so many more than this one. But worry not, I'm going to share the most common and basic ones on the next slides. Then back after we choose the research methods, then we can start to prepare the tools, the schedule of participants, and also incentives and others. Then we conduct, we collect the data, and then we finally go to the synthesis process. So to be very honest with you guys, the process of user research can be quite complex sometimes, especially if we're working on an organization with bigger scale, which conflicting objectives happen a lot. So the planning can be back and forth, sometimes take a long time as well. We need to assess the research projects more deeply and then plan in a very detailed way, especially for research with that has very complicated objectives, even the analysis process can take some time too. But worry not, if there's a complex way, then there will be a simple way, right? There are also simpler ways to conduct user research. We just need to adapt the methods and conduct a smaller scope of research easily. So leave the complex user research to user researchers. Let us do the work, but you can start. If you're a designer, or maybe product manager, developer, engineer, business owners, or any other role, and there's no user researcher on your organization or company, I suggest you not to wait until there's one, because you can start doing smaller scope of user research on your own, because there's a simple way to do it. And I'm going to show you 10 of my favorite quick and easy research methods. So if you're excited, please comment down on the chat box so I can see the euphoria. Okay, so let's go to the first one. The first one is desk research. I know it sounds very boring, but it's basically actually what we need to do is search for any related data and information. So you can look at your internal resources like analytical tools, reports, any previous research or surveys that was conducted previously, and also interviews, as well as external resources such as online articles, and then statistical office reports, professional databases, scientific papers and studies, and so on, and even public information about competitors. And we can go from there. And then in few hours, you can get the data you need. So the benefit of it is easy, quick, and budget friendly. And it can help us to gain prior knowledge before we start conducting or maybe start planning for other research. Okay, the next one, which is I think the most basic one, is in-depth interview. I know it sounds very professional too. Basically, it's just go meet your users, talk to them, and then hear them out. It's actually very important for us to ask the right question, because we want to know what they need instead of what they want, right? But you'll never know which question is right unless you try. So just go and have conversation with them. And besides understanding what users need, doing this can help us to develop empathy with our users as well. And we can also observe their real behavior while communicating with them, so we can understand their context and witness what they truly need. So on the right, here's a picture of me in the middle of doing research for Blibli Mitra. So Blibli Mitra is an app that supports stock replenishment for groceries and digital products to stall owners. So that time, we were trying to understand why store owners preferred to fulfill phone credits order from conventional platforms instead of e-commerce. And turned out it was because they need to fulfill it in a very high pace due to the heavy store traffic, and they could only do this by topping up through SMS or WhatsApp. So it's an insight that we got after talking with the owner and then observing the environment of her work and her stall. The next one, field observation. Along with interviews, we can also do this, which basically means spending time with our users and then see how they behave in their real setting. As I mentioned earlier, observing their behavior can help us develop more empathy, as we can observe what they actually need on their actual setting. I personally feel that being open-minded and flexible on observation is very important, because we can learn something as unexpected from it. So one of the example is a throwback story when we were doing a research for Blibli Mitra back then. We're trying to know why users were doing frequent orders, but in a very low quantity. We found out that these users had a very limited storage. As you can see from the picture, I was sitting on a place where they stored gallons of mineral waters, and it was very, very packed. And then through understanding the situation, we figured out that providing promotions for bulk orders wouldn't work for them, because their problem wasn't price, but limited storage instead. So now you see like how helpful user research, right? We almost developed something that might not be useful for our users, but then after user research, we know what's the root cause of their behavior. And then, okay, so the previous three were helpful on the discovery stage, and this one is, we can do this one when we're building or designing the product. So conduct usability testing is something that we do a lot, and it's not complicated at all, because basically we try to see, we go to meet our users and give them some scenarios to perform certain tasks that we want to test, and see how the designs, how they use the designs to do it. So why do we need Why do we need usability testing? Because after spending few weeks with designing our app or maybe website, we can really see it without bias anymore, right? Because we've been very invested into it, and we cannot see it see from outside perspective anymore. So the only way to find out if it really works is to test it out to the people out there. If we're willing to go extra, we can do this by visiting our users in their homes, or maybe we can also invite them to the office. Then by doing this, we can directly observe how they perform real tasks with our prototype. We can see their reactions, emotions, better understand their workflow, so we get the chance to emphasize more on the behavior rather than what they say. It helps us to discover usability issues before deployments and implementation. It can be very costly if we fix things up after deployment, right? So it's even better if we can start soon. Even if we have just like low fidelity of prototype or maybe paper mockup with us, so it's fine. The next one, what if we have limited time and limited resource? What can we do? Guerrilla testing it is. So it's a cool term of basically intercepting people who are passing by alone. And we do this a lot. We invited colleagues during lunch breaks, as you can see from the picture. And then we also interrupted our mailroom coordinator in the middle of his work. Well, actually, not that hectic. He was not that hectic, so we're allowed to disturb him for a while. And we even invited random people passing by our offline supermarket to give feedback on our online to offline Blibli Mart scan and pay experience. So we have this Blibli Mart offline supermarket that we open at our office, and we try to check whether the scan and pay experience was good enough or not. So this method is very easy and very quick. We don't need to recruit participants. We can do it anytime and anywhere, so it's great. And it's obviously more budget friendly. We can exchange the, snacks for data, so it's very win-win, right? However, this method is more suitable for idea validation on a general context, such as testing phone credit top-up process, because everyone might be familiar with the flow. Okay, so the next one, we can also do preference testing. So when we have several design options and not really sure which one to go for, we can do preference testing to our users. Early this year, along with some designers, we did guerrilla testing to understand which payment summary design worked better for us while topping up their phone credit. So these are the prototypes that we test. And we observed how users perform the same task, basically topping up and then checking the payment summary on different designs. And then we list down the pros and cons and select the best option. And then the next one, this is a tool actually. This one is basically to help visualize the ideas so users can better explain what makes sense for them. We can use this when we want to understand users' mental model, or maybe we want to understand how they structured information, such as product categorization, or how they order the information to input in an order form of digital products. This method is commonly used because it helps us to uncover users' mental models in a fun and instructive way. And users can also express their ideas more clearly because they have these cards to see and work on. But in order to gain deeper insights on this one, we also need to ask follow-up questions after they perform the activities. We can simply start from, why did you categorize it this way? What does this category mean to you? And any other question. Okay, so user research shouldn't stop after implementation. We need to still evaluate and check how the design is used in reality, right? So by doing this, we can witness the impact of our design and show the success, and also discover area of improvements. So an example was Blibli has this click and collect feature. So users can purchase online and then pick up the products on nearby convenience stores. And after launching it for quite some time, we wanted to check if the store associates of the convenience stores were basically following the settlement process that we created. So we tried to do click and collect orders on Blibli app and then pick up the orders from nearby pickup points, and then we observed the settlement process. When we got there, our orders were packed, so it was great. And we just need to go to the cashier to process the settlement. But we discovered that some steps were skipped during the settlement and could potentially lead to like future pain points. And that's one of the areas of improvements that we discovered and we worked on after the implementation. And then still related to evaluation part, we can also gather user feedbacks from every channels that we have. If you have like customer service reports, maybe app reviews, the easiest one is app reviews. And then we also created like NPS survey and so on. Whatever the channels that we have, these will be a great choice because we can get feedback from real experience. We get feedback from users through their real experience, like their complaints are real experience, right? And then from that, we can discover what to improve. Plus, it's also budget friendly because you don't have to incentivize users like if we conduct research within the other methods that on previous slides. So on Blibli, we analyzed users' feedback, inquiry, requests, and also complaint reported to our customer care, and then we triangulate the data, the information that we got with other data source that we have to gain deeper insights. It's something that we usually do on the desk research process as well. Okay, so the research methods on the previous slides are quite heavy on the qualitative data. But we also need numbers as well, right, to quantify the findings and stuff. So we can ask questions to more users by doing surveys. So we can combine the questions that we can form the questions by combining previous qualitative research findings and then to get the quantification through surveys. Or we can combine the results itself with interview and observation findings to get deeper insights. So this method is actually suitable if we need numbers, as it can quickly help us reach many users. And there are also so many survey tools nowadays which can be accessed freely. Even we can like utilize social media like how the Knot and Airbnb did, can also help increase our followers' engagement as well. But if we need to do more extensive survey, which require more advanced tools, we can utilize something like SurveyMonkey and Typeform, even Google Form and so on. And there's a free version of each of them too. So don't worry. Okay, so I think that's it. That's the 10 research methods that I believe can be executed in an easier way, but most of them require direct human interaction, I understand. So how can we do it now, especially on the pandemic situation? Well, we can utilize video conference apps or online tools such as Zoom and then Google Hangout, Lookback, and so on. And through the technology of video call and screen sharing, we can still hear what our users have to say and observe their behavior. So I was doing an online interview to understand users' traveling inspiration for Blibli's travel product, and turned out they were happy to explain by sharing their screen. So at that time, we can observe their social media followings to know how their inspiration comes from, and then the browser history too. So although there are several limitations of doing online interviews and testing, it's great because there's no more geographical restrictions, so we can reach users from different cities and even countries.
Okay. Kelly, just to let you know, you actually have about 5 minutes left.
Oh, okay. So cool. I'm just wrapping up.
Okay, fantastic.
Okay, so finally, guys, I'm wrapping up the takeaways. First, we got to know that user research helps us to create relevant and pleasurable to use design, which eventually can lead us to success and more profits. Everyone likes that. It doesn't always have to be complex. We can still adapt the methods and work on a simpler way as well. And lastly, user research can be done anytime and anywhere. So I encourage everyone to start now, even if you're not a UX researcher, but you need to do user research. You can start now and don't wait until you have a dedicated person to do it for you. I think that's it from me. It was fun sharing with you guys. If you have any question, feel free to leave on the Q&A box. I'll try to answer, or maybe you can also drop a message on my LinkedIn or follow Blibli Design social media on Instagram and Medium. I think that's it from me, Lauren.
Thanks, Kelly. Now we do have questions. If you'd like to click on your Q&A box, the first one is actually in Bahasa Indonesia. Would you like to read that out first and perhaps address that?
Okay, so let me open the Q&A first. I think it's oh, here's hi. So should I read it in Bahasa?
Yes, so everyone can hear it.
Oke, so bagaimana mengukur ROI dari research kita? Hal ini akan penting banget untuk meyakinkan para petinggi. Bagaimana cara menghindari Hawthorne effect saat melakukan testing? Okay, so can I answer the first question first?
Absolutely.
Okay, in Bahasa or in English?
Up to you, really.
Okay, okay, so maybe I'll answer in English so people can understand.
Okay,
Well,
cool.
measuring ROI from research is kind of like tricky because we create the research itself, and then the results can be utilized differently for each of the stakeholders. So research is not something that can directly impact to like the KPI of the product, such as you say, like GMV and then like number of active users. It doesn't work that way. So it's kind of tricky if you measure the ROI in a quantitative measurement. So what we do is we track out the insights that we have, the findings that we have, and from there, how is the improvement done by the stakeholders? So we track that out, and then from the research insights, what are the action taken, and then from the action, what's the impact to the product? What's the how is the KPI performing, and sort of like that. So maybe not directly, but we're still working on finding the right measurement too. And about Hawthorne effect, can you explain more? I feel like this is the first time I know about it, so maybe can you give me a more explanation on that one?
It sounds a little bit ad hoc, but so just whoever sending this question, just go ahead and elaborate on that a little bit more. Let's move on to the next one. This next one is from Ronnie. Now, Ronnie's question is, Kelly, are there any must-have or good to have or nice to have tools that you recommend to carry out the user research?
Okay, so for tools, the must-have is actually yourself, because especially for qualitative research, the interviewer or the researcher is the key itself. So make sure that you have like soft skills in empathizing, and then you can do active listening is very important as well. Then you can be open-minded. You can blend it with the users really well. That's the key actually. And then for the more hard skill part, maybe you need to you need to know how to analyze things, you need to synthesize things and stuff. And for the tools itself, what can help in the research process is sometimes when you want to test out designs, then you of course need your prototype, or maybe paper mock-up is fine as well. And you also need recorders, something like that. But there's also more advanced tools, like as I shared earlier on the slides, that like look back, you can record users' expression and also their interaction on the phone and stuff. So there's a lot of tools out there. You can just search it, and I believe you'll find so many.
All right, super cool. Let's just squeeze in this last one out here. I think I can manage to read this one out. Hai Kak, bagaimana cara menggabungkan data dari analitik dengan data yang ada di lapangan? Terima kasih.
Okay, so actually from the field observation and maybe interviews, we can observe like the real phenomena, right? But through analytics, we can only observe like how they interact with the app, like which page do they visit and stuff. So that's actually very complementary. So we start from analytics. We see we observe their funnel behavior from the funnel, and then we know which page might seems like heavy on the drop rate. So we can visit the field and then try to understand what's the pain point on the page. Why do people drop from the page? So that's one of the example of combining both method, I think.
All right, thank you. I'm pretty sure it does. Thank you so much, Kelly. That's all the time we have for today. I also enjoyed to talk to you, just like a ray of sunshine. It's like the most amazing way to start a day was when you talk to somebody who just radiates so much fun energy. You guys, if you enjoyed her session, let's give her a big round of applause in the chat box right now. Thank you so much, Kelly. Feel free to stay on for the rest of the day. We've got a pretty long day ahead, so feel free to stay on and hang out with us as and when you like. Thanks again, Kelly.
Yeah, bye.
I'll see you. Bye.
Exabytes. Grow your business online.